Coming up on Network Africa, Malawi government issues flood warning, urging residents to remain vigilant. The World Food Programme says 13 million people across the Horn of Africa face severe hunger because of continued drought. Plus, the World Health Organization urges wider vaccination coverage to contain Omicron-dominated COVID-19 spread. Hello and warm welcome to the program. I'm Layo Adegoke. We begin in Malawi, where the Meteorological Department has warned that several central and northern regions of the country could experience floods and urged residents to remain vigilant. The Department of Climate Change and Meteorological Services forecasts that there could be more rains and thunderstorms in the area. The general public has been advised to refrain from settling in, cultivating along the said areas during the rain and also crossing the flooded areas, and to be alert when visiting the areas. Part of the capital, Lilongwe, and several low-lying areas are expected to be hit by floods. Malawi is still grappling with the aftermath of Tropical Storm Anna, which killed at least 32 people, causing power outages and massive destruction to property and infrastructure. President Lazarus Chakwera has appealed for reconstruction support from the international community and assured Malawians that the government will expedite recovery processes. The country appears not to have been severely affected by Cyclone Batsirai, which has killed at least 21 people and displaced thousands others in Madagascar. Well, let's get more on this. Joining us now is Yvonne Sundu, Malawian journalist. Hello, Yvonne. Thank you for speaking to us. Well, how are citizens responding to this warning from the weather agencies? I mean, many are still grappling with the aftermath of Storm Anna.
Well, it's a tricky situation right now because all efforts are geared towards helping the victims of Cyclone Anna. So with that warning coming, for most people, they are focusing on having those people that have been affected, getting the required help. By help, we are looking at food and non-food items because we have so many people that are living in tents that have been set up in specific points within the districts that have been hugely affected. So the warning is there, but it's more of, just alerting people and not necessarily making people to spring into action to see what they ought to do and what they need not to do, because the focus is on helping those that have been affected by Cyclone Anna.
Well, speaking of help, in the wake of Storm Anna, President Lazarus Chakwera appealed for reconstruction support from the international community. He also assured Malawians of quick recovery processes. Talk to us about how that is going.
So far, I know that UNICEF has been making donations of assorted items in Nsanje specifically, because Nsanje is the southern tip of Malawi, and it is one of the districts that were hugely affected by the tropical storm. Together with this neighboring district, Chikwawa, these two were the most hit because of their geographical position. They are at the lowest part or the downstream of one of the biggest rivers in Malawi, which is Shire River. So there's so much that is needed. And with the announcement that the president made, what was remaining to happen was to have an assessment properly done of how many people have been affected, what kind of help. Yes, we are saying food and non-food items, but specifically, what are we looking at? So that assessment was done last week, and the report was released. And that's when we've had different organizations like UNICEF stepping in, because they are now responding to exactly what is needed on the ground. Initially, what we had was just a preliminary assessment. But for now, we are having organizations that are stepping in to see how far they can go in terms of helping the victims.
All right then, Yvonne Sundu, Malawian journalist, thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you so much.
Moving on to other stories, the World Food Programme has provided Madagascar's government with IT equipment, smartphones and power banks, logistics support, as well as access to WFP's data collection platform to fast-track the registration and management of displaced people eligible for aid. As a result of the intense tropical cyclone Batsirai, which made landfall on the central eastern coast on Saturday, 150,000 people, about 150,000 people have been affected, with many of them facing food insecurity. Well, the government of Madagascar declared a state of emergency on 27th of January, and the ongoing cyclone season, which is October 2021 to May 2022, is expected to see 8 to 12 tropical systems. Community residents of Est Fabrieke in Mamelodi in Pretoria, South Africa, are left without homes as their shacks were swept away by floods over the weekend. With furniture outside and wet, some can be seen trying to pick up the pieces of what is left. Tabang Nkosi, which is not his real name, is a resident here who didn't want to show his face on camera. He says they are frustrated and do not know what to do nor where to go from here because government has been promising to remove them from the Juksei River bank. The bank says the water was the same height as their shacks and is lucky enough that his shack is still standing. In 2019, same events occurred and only a few people were removed.
At the level, the height of the water was just right on the roof. The only thing we can see from a distance is the roof. You can see all this thing has been wiped away by the water that was here. And you can see from that side, only few survived. Everything, the belongings of these people is gone. Fortunate enough, I didn't lose much. As you can see, my fridge is there, my gas fridge is still there. I was having 2 sources, the other one has been wiped away, but I wasn't using that source for important things. Only my washing machine is gone. I wasn't even using it anyway. But look at these ones. They've lost almost everything. We don't know what to do, what else to do. Actually, we are frustrated. Then I don't know as to whether we can say, no, let's go and move. Let's go, and we went to the municipality. We have been protesting, we have been doing this and that. For now, the only solution, maybe we can go to the Sunny House and sleep there. Maybe that is when they can sleep from the Union Building. We have from the Sunny House. They've been signing memorandums. Nothing materialized.
The United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, is warning that 13 million people across Ethiopia, Kenya and Somalia are facing severe hunger in the first quarter of this year. The Horn of Africa is experiencing its driest conditions recorded since 1981 with severe drought. Well, this week, WFP launched its regional drought response plan for the Horn of Africa, calling for $327 million to respond to immediate needs of about 4.5 million people and also to help communities become more resilient to extreme climate shocks.
3 consecutive failed rainy seasons have decimated crops and caused abnormally high livestock deaths. Shortages of water and pasture are forcing families from their homes and leading to increased conflict between communities in East Africa. Further forecasts of below-average rainfall are threatening to worsen and compound dire conditions in the coming months.
We haven't had the last 2 rainy seasons. We never experienced this before. We only see dust storms now. We are afraid that they will cover us all and become our graveyard, like what happens in the desert.
The drought has impacted pastoral and farmer populations across southern and southeastern Ethiopia, southeastern and northern Kenya, and south-central Somalia. The impacts are compounded by increases in staple food prices, inflation, and low demand for agricultural labor further worsening families' ability to buy food. Malnutrition rates also remain high across the region and could worsen if no immediate action is taken.
The drought killed our livestock, so we had to leave our homes and come here.
After 3 failed rainy seasons, the Horn of Africa is in the midst of a severe drought affecting up to 13 million people. Southern Ethiopia, northern Kenya and Somalia are impacted, livestock are dying, crops are failing and populations are being forced from their homes.
Across the 3 drought-affected countries, WFP is providing life-saving food and nutrition assistance to affected communities. Additionally, WFP cash grants and insurance schemes are helping families buy food to keep their livestock alive or compensating them for their losses. As needs across the Horn of Africa grow, immediate assistance is critical to avoid a major humanitarian crisis like the one the world witnessed in 2011 when 250,000 people died of hunger in Somalia.
Authorities in Ethiopia's Oromia region have accused the rebel group of killing more than 160 civilians and burying 87 bodies in a mass grave. However, the Oromo Liberation Army, OLA, often accused by the Ethiopian government of being behind the killings of ethnic minorities, has not responded to this latest accusation. It has previously denied attacking civilians. But according to Ibsa Basha, who's a local administrator in Western Oromia, the killings occurred in Gidami district after government forces pushed the rebel group out of areas it had controlled. The OLA, which formed an alliance last year with Tigrayan forces in its fight against Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's administration, operates in Western and Southern Oromia, where there have been recent clashes with government forces. Reports of the alleged killings have, however, sparked public outrage online. Well, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has returned to the Federal Capital Territory, and this is hours after the 35th ordinary session of African Union's Assembly of Heads of State and Government in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The president returns to the country after meetings regarding the prevention of coups in Africa, the civil war in Ethiopia, and the global pandemic dominating talks. Our foreign affairs correspondent, Amarachi Ubani, reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari's participation in the 35th ordinary session of the AU Heads of State and Government began last Thursday. On the sidelines of the summit, the president held a bilateral with the Palestinian Prime Minister, Mohammed Shatayyeh, with both leaders discussing the need to continue to pursue peace and progress in Africa. President Buhari assured the Palestinian Prime Minister that he would not just pursue peace in Nigeria, but in other parts of the world, by consistently pushing for justice, fairness, and inclusiveness in global affairs. During his meeting with Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, President Buhari commended Mr. Ahmed's efforts at maintaining peace and unity in his country, as well as his dedication to ensuring fairness and justice in development. Both leaders agree that African growth and development will require strong visionary leadership that caters for the needs of the people and effectively strengthens institutions that encourage peaceful coexistence while providing dissenters to conflicts and coups. Just before his departure from Addis Ababa, the president had a private audience with the UN's Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed. This year's theme at the AU was Building Resilience in Nutrition on the African Continent, Accelerate the Human Capital, Social and Economic Development. Senegal's President Macky Sall, who becomes the AU's chairperson this year, in his address said leaders need to step up efforts and strengthen the spirit of solidarity to overcome once and for all the coronavirus and also ensure the economic recovery of countries and ensure a better future of the planet. The African Union has come under criticism. It has taken little decisive action in the face of 6 coups or attempted coups in Africa over the past 18 months, and the power grabs were high on the agenda. While the bloc did move to suspend Burkina Faso, Mali and Sudan following military takeovers, it's not clear if the ban has had any effect on the country's new leaders. According to the AU Commission Chair, Moussa Faki Mahamat, the security situation in Africa requires the bloc taking a new approach. He called for more active inter-African solidarity. Attention also turned to the civil war in Ethiopia, even as the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called for a ceasefire. Finally, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed called for permanent seats for Africa on the UN Security Council and urged the AU to form a continental media house to counter what he called negative media representation of Africa.
Still ahead on the program. With a foundation and eyeliner, Nigerian TikTok sensation creates faces using makeup. Please stay with us for more details. Welcome back to the program. The World Health Organization is calling on countries around the world to expand their vaccination coverage to protect people's lives and contain the spread of the deadly virus amid a sharp increase in relevant deaths around the world recently. Maria van Kerkhove, COVID-19 technical lead of the Health Emergencies Program of the WHO, provided an update on the COVID-19 dire situation globally, including the severity on the Omicron variant infections worldwide. Currently, WHO is working with thousands of scientists to study Omicron and its sublineages.
The global situation with COVID is very dynamic. We are seeing a record number of cases being reported to WHO each week. Every day, between 3 and 4 million cases are being reported to us, and we know that this is an underestimate of the true number of cases. What is extremely concerning is that we are seeing increases in deaths, and in the last 4 weeks alone, we've seen a sharp increase in deaths around the world. Omicron, the latest variant of concern, has quickly replaced Delta, the last variant of concern that was circulating globally, and this has happened very quickly. We've seen a very sharp peak in cases around the world, but not all countries have peaked in terms of their cases. And as I said, the deaths are also increasing as well. People who are infected with Omicron can have anything from asymptomatic infection, meaning no symptoms, all the way through severe disease and death. While there is a lower risk of needing hospitalization if you're infected with Omicron, there are still a large number of people who are requiring hospitalization. So some people are still getting severe disease, and there are people who are dying from Omicron. It's really important that people get vaccinated when it's their turn. But not only that, it's also important that we reduce the spread. The virus is spreading around the world at an incredibly intense level, and we need to reduce the opportunity for people getting infected. First, because people who are infected are at risk for developing severe disease. We also know that people who are infected with COVID-19, infected with the SARS-CoV-2 virus, can also develop long COVID, something we don't have a complete understanding of, and we want to reduce that risk.
Authorities in Kenya say 90% of the fire that engulfed the famous Aberdari's National Park and Forest in central Kenya has been contained. Firefighters and local residents have been battling the huge blaze since Saturday. Initial reports indicate it could be a case of arson, but the government says it has launched an investigation into how the fire started. For more than 600 hectares of forest land have been laid waste now, threatening protected elephants and endangered black rhinos. The wildfire comes at a time when the country is also experiencing drought in various areas following a season of failed rains. Scientists are blaming climate change for the recent harsh dry seasons experienced in many parts of the country. Well, let's get more on this. Kenyan journalist Cyrus Mbati joins us now to give us an update on the situation. Hello, Cyrus. What more can you tell us at this time?
Can you hear me? The authorities in Kenya have managed to kind of contain the fire, and by now they're saying that it's under control. And we hope that it will not come back again because the drought is still high in the area, and it's a water catchment area. But we hope that everything now will be under control because initially that said it was an arson which was behind the incident, and investigations are ongoing to establish who was behind the same.
Well, talking about the investigation, the government has said it has launched an investigation. Have they mentioned, are there any suspects perhaps on the arsonist, or what more can you tell us about that?
In fact, the forest itself, or rather the park, is a national park so huge that you cannot be able to know who was there or not, because there are so many people who go there for grazing, for honey hunting, for so many things. So we believe, or the authorities believe, that those people who started the fire maybe they were after some animals and they were chased away by the park rangers. So out of reaction, they started the fire as a punishment to them. But then the damage was so huge that even themselves, they ended up being there at a loss because it attracted the attention of the government and the private sector who joined hands to come in now to try to combat the fire. And unfortunately, the fire is out of actual control. They have controlled the fire as of now as we're speaking.
All right then, Cyrus Mbati, Kenyan journalist, thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you so much.
Nigerian makeup artist turned TikTok sensation Oni Mary is wowing her audience with her skillful use of makeup to create faces of popular figures in Nigerian history. Her ability to draw lifelike images on her chest while facing a mirror has earned her over 7,000 followers with thousands of views for each post. Take a look.
With a foundation and eyeliner, Nigerian makeup artist Oni Mary is painting faces of celebrities and notable icons on her body. The 23-year-old began training to become a professional makeup artist 2 years ago, but later discovered it was not her passion. In a bid to be distinct with this new skill, she began practicing painting using makeup tools. With her body as canvas, the young artist made her first drawing of a male subject she found on television.
That fateful day, I was watching DSTV, I saw a particular man, and I just said, okay, let me just try with this man. Let me paint this man on my chest and see if I can really do this, because I love it and I have passion for it. So I took my brow pencil, my foundation and my brush, and I started painting the man. It came out nice.
Mary's first portrait was the late American rapper Tupac, which gathered her popularity on social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook. Her painting takes about 7 to 8 hours to complete and puts a strain on her body most times.
One of the challenges I face whenever I'm doing this painting is my body. My body will start to ache me. I'll feel pain all over my body, my shoulder, my waist, my neck. I don't get all my paintings at once, because sometimes whenever I start to paint and I get to the nose or the eyes and I'll feel like this person doesn't look like what I'm about to paint, so I'll clean it and start all over again. And most times I don't get to start all over again because of my energy. It depends on how full my energy is, and sometimes I'm lucky, sometimes I'm not lucky, which means sometimes whenever I start to paint, I'm lucky to get the paintings at once. Sometimes I can try 2 to 3 times before I can get the particular painting I want to paint.
While this budding creative looks for new subjects, many of her fans believe there's room for improvement.
But now she's good, but I don't think she's there yet. But I think like maybe before the end of the year, she would definitely improve. Maybe she just don't have like all the right tools yet to like get that there.
Building her brand and monetizing her skills is the next step for this young creative.
Here we end the program in Senegal, where the national team was treated to a hero's welcome on Monday after their win at the Africa Cup of Nations for the first time. For tens of thousands of ecstatic revelers celebrated the players' return to Dakar, sitting on top of cars and dancing in the capital streets. President Macky Sall was among those greeting the team from the airport. When coach Aliou Cisse raised the trophy cup from the roof of the team victory bus, the crowds were cheering in delight. Players were transported inside and on top of a coach along a packed parade route to the center of Dakar. The celebrations began straight after the final whistle on that Sunday night, seconds after Liverpool's Sadio Mane seals the historic victory over Egypt on penalties. Many people have been pouring on the streets of Dakar, dancing and firing fireworks into the air. The authorities then proceeded to declare Monday a national holiday. congratulations once again to Senegal. That's it on the program today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Adegoke.